Hi, my name is Emilia Lorraine and I'm from DRG1A and my metric card number is 09DRG24F and 2030. So today I'm going to talk about the introduction to art history, introduction to art movement and 20th century art. So what an art movement is a group of artists who share similar styles, ideas and goals, often working during the same period and influenced by culture, political or social changes. These movements help categorize art history and show how artistic expression evolves over time. Each movement adds its own unique techniques, themes, and visual language. The 20th century art was one of the most dynamic period in art history. It was marked by rapid innovation, bold experimentation, and breaking away from tradition. Artists challenged classical norms and explored new ideas such as abstraction, expression, and identity, and consumerism. So the first art that I'm going to talk about is Cubism. The artwork name is Les Demolisses d'Avignon. It was on 1907. Artist name is Pablo Picasso. So Cubism is a revolutionary art movement that emerged in early 20th century led by Pablo Picasso and George Bailly. It rejected traditional techniques of perspective, depth, and realistic representation into geometric shapes and multiple viewpoints. Cubism aimed to depict this essence of objects by analyzing them from all angles at once, a radical departure from Renaissance ideal. Les Demolisses d'Avignon is considered the first true Cubist painting and a groundbreaking moment in modern art. The faces of two figures are influenced by African tribal masks, while others are inspired by Liberian sculpture, reflecting Picasso's fascination with non-Western art. Okay, the second artwork that I'm going to talk about is The Persistence of Memory. On 1931, the artist Salvador Dali. It was art movement Surrealism. Surrealism was an avant-garde art movement that began in the 1920s, aiming to unlock the unconscious mind and explore dream-like, irrational imaginary. Influenced by Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis, Surrealists believe that true creativity comes from tapping into subconscious beyond logic, unexpected juxtapositions, symbolic elements, and dreamlike atmosphere. It challenged traditional artistic norms and sought to merge fantasy with reality. The persistence of memory in Dali, most of famous work, often called the melting clock painting. In a strange, barren landscape, soft, drooping watches symbolize the fluidly unreliability of times in dreams. So the third artwork that I'm going to talk about is artwork number 5 from 1948. Artist Jackson Pollock. Artwork Abstract Expressionism. Abstract Expressionism was the first major American art movement to gain international recognition, emerging in the 1940s and 1950s after World War II. It focused on the personal emotion, spontaneity, and act of painting itself rather than realistic subject matter. There are two main types: action painting, dynamic movement like Pollock drape technique, and cold field painting, large areas of colors like Rotok. It reflects both the freedom and anxiety of the post-war era and emphasizes individual freedom and self-expression, often with a raw dramatic feel. In number 5, 1948, Jackson Pollock laid his canvas flat on the ground and used sticks, brush, and even his hands to drip and fling layers of paint. This method became known as drip painting or action painting, expressionism, and positioned New York as the new center of the artwork. The third art that I'm going to talk about is pop art. The artwork is Marilyn Dietrich on 1962. Pop art emerged in the 1950s and 1960s in the UK and USA as a response to the rise of consumerism, mass media, and popular culture. It blurred the line between high art, everyday objects using bold colors, graphic imaginary repetition. Artists often drew inspiration from advertising, comic books, product packaging, and celebrities, treating these modern symbols as serious subjects for art. Pop art challenged traditional fine art on whole, used a silk screen printing technique to reproduce a publicity photo of actress Marilyn Monroe 50 times. One half is vibrant and colorful, the other is black and white, gradually fading. The contrast explode team celebrity worship, mass production, and temporary nature of fame. Art that I'm going to talk about is Dadaism. Artwork founded 1917. Artist named Marcel Duchamp. Dadaism was an anti-art movement that began around 1916 in Zurich, Switzerland during World War I. It arose as reaction to the horror and absurdity of war, challenging the logic, reason, and seriousness of traditional art and culture. Duchamp submitted a porcelain urinal signal art moth to an art exhibition under a false name. Thought it was rejected, the work shocked the art world and became a symbol of conceptual art. The next art that I'm going to talk about is minimalism. Artwork Untitled Stacks on 1967, artist Donald Judd. Minimalism emerged in 1960s as a reaction against the complexity and emotionalism of abstract expressionism. Artists focus on simplicity, geometric, and the use of industrial materials. Their works strip away personal expression and ornamentation, emphasizing the pure form of the object itself. Judd arranged metal blocks in simple geometric stacks without any symbolic or emotional meaning, like in the image. His work emphasized the relationship between the object and the space around it. For the next topic that I'm going to talk about, next artwork is Futurism. Artwork unique form of continuity in space on 1913, artist Umberto Boccioni. Futurism was an early 20th century movement that celebrated modern technology, speed, and innovation. Futurists reject the past and embrace the energy dynamism of machine age, using bold and sweeping lines to depict motion and progress. The work symbolizing Italy's desire for renewal progress, embodying the dynamic force of modernity and the mechanical age. Next one is Expressionism. Artwork The Scream, 1893. Artist Edward Munch. Expressionism was an early 20th century movement that focused on intense emotion and individual perspective, often distorting reality to express the artist's inner feelings. Unlike Impressionism, like expressing our feelings through art, like The Scream, which capture fleeting moments, Expressionism aimed to convey the psychological experience of the world. The movement often feature bold colors, extravagant forms, and overall sense of this emotion and the feeling of alienation. The last artwork that I'm going to talk about is Fausma, artwork Woman with a Hat on 1905. Fausma was a short-lived but influential movement that emphasized bold, unnatural color and simplified forms over realistic representation. Faustic artists use color to convey emotion rather than the accurately. Matisse's Woman with a Hat shocked the art world by using bright and non-naturalistic colors to depict the portrait of his wife, Emilia. The painting challenges traditional portrait and emphasized the emotional power of color. So for the conclusion, 20th century art movement broke traditional rules and redefined creativity, and each style reflected its times, challenged old ideas, and shaped the way we understand the great art today. And thank you so much for watching.